Yes, first off, we will be taking a look at updating the Nspire teacher software as well as the handheld. We'll take a look at how to add color and a TI map activity that includes some color as well as the multiple representations utilizing that. We'll teach you how to insert an image and some of the special tips and tricks regarding the use of images on various applications. Then we'll look at TI Math and Math Inspired activity, all the resources that are available there. And we'll look at a specific TI Math activity that utilizes images called super tall skyscrapers. And finally, we'll look at how to use an image, inserting an image of a map and doing some measurements and calculations with that. Finally, we'll be doing some Q&A well throughout as well as at the end, and show you about where to go to next, including some social media and future conferences.
So by the end of this webinar, you'll be able to update the version of your TI-Nspire teacher software along with your handheld's operating system. Both of these are free updates, so we certainly hope that you'll take advantage of them. You'll also be able to add color and images to TI-Nspire documents, as well as locate, download, and explore free pre-made lessons from TI Math and Math Inspired, as well as some additional websites that we're happy to share with you. You'll also learn how to perform dynamic calculations on an image of a map. And as always, we'll show you the various ways that you can stay in touch, both online and in person. And as we transition to Sean's laptop, you'll notice that as he shares his desktop, the right section of your screen is going to be replaced with a floating toolbar at the top of your screen. So now, if you look at the top of your screen, there's a green tab that says Viewing Sean Bird's Desktop. If you hover over that tab, you'll see that you can access the Q&A window and the chat panels from there. So we'll certainly monitor your questions throughout the webinar, and we'll get as many of them answered as we can. It's all yours, Sean.
So if your software looks like this, then you need to update that software. A nice place to go to update the software is Help. You're like, I don't have any color, help. And you can check for software updates right there. Also, you can check for handheld OS updates. I have a handheld attached right now, and that is a very convenient way to update that handheld. So if you have the updated software, then you can be welcome to the world of color. I'm going to change the handheld to a TI-Nspire CX, the normal. Color, finally. After all these years of the gray, and I also have an image of the software, of the handheld. So here we're looking at a screen capture of a TI-Nspire CX. You can see the color on there. When they come out with the next operating system, if you get it onto yours, then you can send it to other students or your friends by connecting with the mini USB and send the OS from one to the other. The way I enjoy doing that in my classroom is to use a navigator and just push the updated operating system to all 30 that are in the class at the same time. But it can be done either through your computer. Also, there's those nice little guys called what are those called, Eric? The stations, the docking station. That's another nice way to connect and to update operating system of many at the same time. Also, I'd like to point out that there's an atomic learning tutorial that gives an example of updating an operating system. And the documents I'm going to be sharing with you this evening will be available after this is over. And so you would have that nice little convenient link that would take you to the Atomic Learning, and you can watch that that video of how to update the operating system. But we're not going to watch that right now. All right. So moving on, the next thing we want to talk about is how color was added to the various objects that you saw on this document. And I saw and wanted to respond with a little smile about how to plot x equals 2 a line. I mean, it'd be nice if we could add text and just say x equals 2 and drag that over there, but that method doesn't work. We can do text like y equals 2, but that's not going to be a vertical line. Oh, there it is. Oh, look, it's in color. It's even in red. Yes, and what's the difference between the teacher software and the student software? Great question. So there's not much difference. One major difference is I have 2 tabs. I have a content tab, which shows me the handheld that is connected, and if I was using a docking station, I would have multiple connected handhelds. And I also have a convenient way to visit and search the web and for various activities that are out there. Skyscrapers, and you can look. There's a super tall skyscrapers right there. So that's one difference. Is I have 2 tabs, whereas the student software only has 1 tab. The other difference, which ties in nicely with what we're learning tonight, is this button called Insert. So I have insert a variety of things, and the only difference is you cannot insert a question if you're using the student software. And that's pretty much it. Any other differences are pretty minor. Those are definitely the major differences. So to show about color and how to answer that other question at the same time, let us do menu, and how about a construction? How about we construct a perpendicular? And so let's construct a perpendicular to this axis. And hey, look at that. It's actually not x equals 2. This needs to go away. Delete. Right-click, coordinate and equation. And there it is. It's x equals 3. Now, you might notice that it's black. How can we change the color? So once I click on the line, notice this toolbar at the top. Using the software, we can change color quite simply by using the toolbar. And that seems pretty intuitive and easy to do. But if you're using the handheld, or if you're using the software, what's another method? Right-click. And it'd be fun if this was a little more interactive and I could ask you, how do you right-click on the handheld? And I'm sure around 30 or 50 or 70 of you would say to press Control Menu. And so I will do that in a second to demonstrate. So, all right, over here on the handheld, moving the cursor over, and you have to hover over it. So whatever you're hovering over, if you press Control Menu, that's the context-sensitive, contextual menu, and there it is. The last choice is color, and we can change the line color to whatever we wanted it to be. So how's that for an answer to a couple of the things we wanted to show? Now, if we were just graphing things, like if I graph 4x arrow down and then 5x and 6x, we see that it cycles through lots of different colors. There's 8 and here's 8x and 9x, and so I think that's the end of the color for the cycle. Let's do 10x. Yep, and we're back to red again. And so a lot of things, color is already there, but if you were doing some other things like shapes, some geometry type of features, then here's a circle and it's just black. Or menu, let's do a different shape like a triangle. Here, here, and here, and it's just black. And so if we wanted to add some color, again, right-click is a convenient way to add color, and we can also fill things. So that was a circle, and if we fill the triangle, now notice color, the order that I'm doing these. If I would have done the circle on top, then it would all be yellow. If I could make this triangle bigger, I will redefine that point and make it outside of the circle. So since the triangle was on top, then I could, then that magenta color shows up that way. So that's that story about adding some color. And this is really fun to do in the context of some images, and so stay tuned and we'll get to some fun things with images. But first off, let's take a look at a notes page. How can you do color on a notes page? So if a student is just typing along, hi, let's learn, and they wanted to change the color. So it's pretty obvious with the software that I can change to red, and this is important, and so that's why it's red. But on the student, if they tried the right click, if they tried control menu, they don't see color. If they were to select a certain portion, and on the handheld I would probably hold down shift and select some things, then now if you do control menu, now that you have something selected, if I do control menu, then color is there. And you can do either fill color or the text color. Fill color, and we could do something like that. And so what is the other way that you can change color? It's under dock. If you press dock, and how about the, let's see here, color is right there. There it is. It was under edit, my first choice, and it's the last choice under that. And there it is. And so you can choose which color you want to change it to. Let's do the text color, and let's do something nice and blue. Not the Dodger blue. Let's just do blue versus the navy. So here's blue, and actually looks like it made both the thing I was, since there wasn't a space here, it made what I was in front of and behind, made it blue. And so I can continue typing, and I'm in blue. So that's how a student can change the color on the handheld, or the teacher can demonstrate this as well. All right, so how are we doing? Any questions coming in that we need to address before taking a look at trains in motion?
You know, I think we're all caught up on questions, but I do want to welcome everyone that's joining us for the first time. It looks like we have about 20 people who are joining us for their first TI webinar, so welcome, and we hope you enjoy the hour. I also just want to emphasize that if you have a license for the teacher software, the update is free. So all you need to do is go to the help menu and check for an update. But if you're running a licensed version of this and you don't have, it doesn't look like Sean's, that is a free update, and it's like that with the student software as well. Thanks, Sean.
Yep. So looking over here at, I gotta shrink my question. There it is. All right, trains in motion. So this is a file that I found on the TI-Nspire website we'll be looking at. Okay, so actually I was involved in making it. But we have some little animations here. And if I move along a couple, this is an exciting file that, in regards to solving an equation graphically. And let's press play. We have two trains. One train left the station, and we have its little distance as and time. And so when will, and this one left a little sooner, but it's not traveling as fast. And so at what time will they be at the same, oh, right about there, hit pause, and that was really close. Probably, yep, in algebra class, all the math works out to be real nice, pretty numbers. And so there it is. Graphically, we can see that this little dot here and this dot, these representing trains, are at the same location. Regarding changing color, if you wanted, since if you're using the TI-Nspire CX, and you're like, hey, let's fancy this up a little bit more. So what did I do? I right-clicked on that point, or I could simply click that point and come up. I could click that point and come up here and say, let's make it red. And if we make that one red, it would sure make a lot of sense to make this point over here red as well. There you go. And then we can animate and see the trains keep on moving along. Okay, the dots representing trains. There's a boats in motion that actually look like boats a little bit better. And so there's an example of color. And so this one being blue, and that one is blue, and this one is brown, and that one is similarly brown. All right. Oh, I'm excited about this. You're going to love this part. What can we do with images? So this file is available on the Google TI-Nspire Google group website, as well as there's more details about this on my blog, and we'll give you a brief tour of that coming up. So this one is now called Inserting an Image and Tips. So here's the story about images. Images can be inserted. Do you see the little icon right here for insert? They can be inserted, and that's how easy it is. You just click that right there. They can be inserted inline on a question or a notes page. They can also be imported or inserted on graphs, geometry, data, and statistics applications. So we've got a good number of places that we can put images. And the overarching story to modify an image on those pages is to press Menu, Actions, and select Image. So here I inserted a couple of images in line, and how this is done is image, insert, image, and here's a variety that you can choose from that are already built in when you install the latest operating system, the 3.0, 3.1. Then you have these that are built in. Hot air balloons is quite nice, and there it is. There's a couple of ways you can modify this. If I click on it, you can change the size but keep the aspect ratio. You could grab it from the side and not keep the aspect ratio. Squishy balloons. Speaking of squishing them, let's squish them this way. And similarly, we can just move them around. An interesting thought is if you put the image on the first page, a student on the handheld could move along, select the image, perhaps by using the shift and arrowing over, and they could copy, Control-C. They could actually copy and insert another page, like a graph page, and clicking up here, let's see, Control-V, paste. All right, I'm going to try that one more time. So a student can click on that, Control-C for copy, and then Control-V, and there it is. How are they inserted on the handheld? So they can't be inserted on the handheld without the software. But if the teacher gave a student a file that had some images on the first page, like on this notes page, they could use those. They could copy that image and paste it onto another page and then use image. So the good news is if a student were to buy an Nspire, it comes with the software as well. And so therefore, they can insert images through the software. So definitely you would need to connect it. If you go to the internet and you're like, ooh, I like that picture, then you would need to connect your Nspire to the computer somehow, and that's how you get the images from the computer to your handheld is with the software, and simply by clicking Insert. Okay. So I have,
I have a question because could we think of it as an image being an object within a document, as opposed to like a file management system? I guess what I'm getting at is that the handheld, the images aren't saved directly to the handheld. They're only saved to the handheld in the context of the document. Would that be correct?
Yes, sounds good. You're not going to go to, for example, Home and number 2, My Documents, and see something that is another file type than TNS files. And so we're just going to see TNS files, Nspire files, and some Nspire files will have images. Note, let's do the control up arrow once, twice. Notice how much bigger this one is, since it has several images on it, versus the terrains in motion we were looking at a moment ago that had no images in it. We'll look at skyscrapers a little bit later on, and that one obviously has some images in it as well. People wonder about the handheld, how much memory a handheld has, and notice these are really small files. They're only kilobytes, and if I went to settings, let's see if this will work emulating, and if I went to the status and I clicked about, no, not click about. Oh, there it is. Yeah, it's on this page right here. Look how much memory I have on my handheld. Haha, since it's a software, it really doesn't show that. I can queue this up on my handheld. Here we go. So here on the TI-Nspire CX that is attached, it shows that it's built in, has 115.2 megabytes on this CX, and I've used some of it. It still has 99.5 mega, as in a million bytes, and these are only tiny little kilobytes of information. So they got plenty of room to hold quite a bit. All right, back to the current document, number 4. So there's some neat ways that you can insert images and fun things you can do. If you were teaching about polar roses, then you could actually increase the interest of that by having an image on top of it. Now, let's take a look at how we can modify this. On a graphs page, a student can simply go Control Menu, choose Select the image. And there it is, and they can move it around so that maybe it's at the origin a little bit better. And they can change the size of it and so forth. Now, I wanted to point out also that whatever you can do through right-click, as in Control Menu, you can also do through Menu. It is a menu, Action, and what's the next thing? Select, and then finally the image. So Menu, Action, Select the image. And so now the image is selected, and you can do all those things with it again. A really special treat, a special thing that many people don't know about is, and this is sometimes helpful, especially if you have a dark image and you want the lines or the color to show up a little bit brighter, is we can make it a bit more transparent. And again, if this page was on the first page and you said, hey, put this in a graph, paste that into a graph, then here's how you do that. Okay, so, and the nice thing is this document gives you those instructions. So what happened was the image was inserted onto a geometry page instead of a graph page. Then the view was changed by pressing Menu and View. This puts a somewhat translucent graph on top of the geometry view. Similarly, you could show an analytic window on top of a geometry page. So let's quickly demonstrate this. I will, let's see if cut works. Let's see, or copy. So theoretically, I've copied that, and I will do a geometry page and paste it. Okay, strike that. Let's go to Insert an image, and let's do a Ferris wheel. Nice. So there's a nice Ferris wheel. Next up is to Menu, change the view. Change the view to, well, we could change it to a graphing, which is what I demonstrated before, or as mentioned on that previous page, we could show an analytic window. Now, how do we change the size of this analytic window? We need to grab the axes. I press Tab like it mentioned. See where it says Tab? I need to grab the axes, and I can make that bigger. And I could move this around. Okay. So So now you can see that when we change it to graph, as in menu, view, graph, that it's putting that on top of it. Now I can still right-click or menu action select image and move it around to where to its desired location and do nice things like put a circle on it or a part of a circle, as in the square root. Using the software, I might just type in squirt or for the square root of what's the size of this? 1, 2, 3, 4. How about a radius of 4? Yeah, 4 squared minus x squared. So that'll give us the top part of it. And sure, I could just do a nice circle using the geometry tool of, there it is. If you do geometry, then it is nice to change the color, line color. Want to make it red? Yellow's nice. One other tip while we're here, sometimes when you make a certain color, it would be pleasant to make it thicker. That's under right-click, Attributes. So we've played around with color, and I wanted to show you attributes as well. Here's attributes. So we can make it thick, or at least thicker. All right. So next up, wanted to show you here, because you get all used to right-clicking, and this is, anybody know what kind of application we're looking at? What are our choices of applications? Well, I was wanting to show you this early on, the welcome screen. So we got choices. We got, is it a calculator application, a graph application, geometry, list and spreadsheet? Is it data and statistics? And you're like, yeah, that was it, ding, ding, ding. Is it? So here with the teacher software, this is one of the things we can do question. All right, it's a data and statistics application. So on this data and statistics application, can I right-click and select the image? And you're like, no, you can't. So how do you do it? Well, it's still menu. Actions is not the first choice on this application, but there is actions, and there is select the image. Ta-da. And so now you could change its location and then click out of it or press escape. And now you can change this equation so that it actually matches this. Note, got more than one point grabbed at the same time. I need to click into, quote, white space or off of that point if I did want to grab both points. So what happened here was we were dynamically changing these values over here. So for example, 7, 2-ish. So here's my 7, and now if I go back over here, then now it's 6 point. And so that was that example. One more image example. Can you figure out how the following page was made? Hint, it cannot be done with a handheld or with the student software. So how was this done? And the question says, write an equation of a line for the rocket on the left. All right, well, let's see. I think it intersects right around 2 or so, maybe 2.5. Oh, as soon as I typed 2, a red line appeared. Isn't that interesting? Let's see, the slope of that. Maybe it's around -1. So maybe I'll do -x plus 2. Well, that's pretty close. Not bad for just a simple little start. And so to answer the question of how is this done, in case you were wondering, and since it can't be done on the student software, then you've probably guessed it. It was done using a question. So I went to insert a question type, and this one was the exciting equation, x equals or f of x equals. It doesn't matter which one you pick of those two choices, because once you pick it, then under the document tools, in the document toolbox, you can change it to the other one. If you're like, oh, my students really like y equals instead of the function notation. And then you could give them a couple of responses, actually. We'll just go back to one. And here it was, include a graph preview. Click. And if you didn't like it on the left side, if you wanted it on top or if you wanted the prompt location on the bottom, then you can move it all around wherever you wanted it to be. I'll go with the way that I had made the other one. And then you can also see a nice place for you to put your accepted answer. And so what I did was I went down here and I inserted an image, insert an image, and let's do some kind of bridge, I suppose. How about this bridge? Yeah, it's a nice bridge. I might want to either scoot my graph over, or I could scoot the image over so that it can be helpful for the students. You can do a variety of other things, like maybe you don't want to see the end values, and so there's that is turned off. The neat thing is when I send this out to the students, and we'll have a little video at the end of this time, here after our little bit less than a half hour is over, we'll have a video showing what it looks like on the student screen and how this can be done with Navigator. And so we would see if the student typed in x squared, that you get this black line. And so if we wanted to talk about using color, let's do the right-click color is how I got in the habit of doing. Yes, you can use the toolbar at the top, and red seems nice. And again, we might want to make this thicker so that it stands out a little bit better. How do you do that? Well, I went to right-click in Attributes, and once again, whatever you can do through right-click, you can do somewhere over here. I think it'd be an action and change the attributes. And let's make that a little bit thicker, and that'll be nice. Now, when you get rid of this, then it's gone. And if they started typing something like 2, then it shows that line right away. That's one of the things I like about this question application, which can be used whether or not you're in a quick poll, whether you're using Navigator, or if you're just sending a document to the students. Especially if I remember, or I'm reminded, I'll show you a really neat document somebody put together about a golf course that is available on our Google Group website. And so that was that document. So let's take a look at some. Eric, you want to show us some of the online resources? I'll click through as you give me instructions to.
Sure, that would be great. So let's go ahead. If we could start at the home page here, and if we go to Downloads and Activities and Math Inspired. Basically, Math Inspired is a collection of classroom-ready lessons with online professional development resources. So we have all of these free lessons that are ready to go, and we give you the PD resources to show you how to use them with confidence. So let's check out Algebra 1 here. And we'll see that when we select a subject, the units are available underneath that subject. And when we click on any one of those units, we see all of the lessons in that unit. And they're organized in a table. And that table tells us some general information about each of these activities. So maybe if we could hover over the type. There's a column that says type, and we see a little hand there that says action consequence. That means that that's a lesson where students can interact with a document, usually by grabbing and dragging a point or clicking a slider, so that the tech skills that are required for an action consequence are minimal, but it allows students to investigate various concepts and make predictions. We can see that a lot of these activities are pretty popular. Maybe if we go over to the linear functions unit, we'll see here those quick links to the upper right. We have some PD resources, we have webinars, we have unit downloads. I'm a particular fan of the unit guide PDF. That's a recommended sequence for the activities in this unit. And once you download it, and once you download anything from this site, it's going to go to wherever your downloads go. Usually that's, at least in a Windows environment, your downloads folder. But as we can see here in the unit guide, some useful information about each activity and as well as a recommended sequence. Great. Maybe if we go back to the site and down to the bottom of this page, we should see that familiar trains in motion activity. So we just wanted to show you where it's located. It's got a bell as the lesson type, which means that it's something that might work well at the beginning of class and might take maybe 10 or 15 minutes. Another invaluable resource for educators is TI Math. So if we go up to the Downloads and Activities and TI Math, and you can, if you're on our mailing list, you'll receive periodic emails about the new TI Math activities. Let's check out Algebra 1 and see what's there. And you'll see here that we not only do we have content for TI-Nspire technology, but we also have content for the TI-84 Plus family. So the default is TI-84 Plus, but we'll go ahead and change that to Nspire and see what's available.
I think that might be because it's alphabetical order, but yep.
Oh, okay. And we see a similar table with similar information, so it's really a great place to explore. And also, there's been a couple of questions about specific software and about grants. So I'd like to show you how you can contact your educational technology consultant. So maybe if we go back to the home page, and in the lower left section of the home page, all the way down at the bottom, there's a link for TI in your state. And if we go to that link, it'll show a map of the United States, and it will give you the contact information for your educational technology consultant. And if you're interested in learning more about TI technology, if you're interested in maybe making a purchase or learning more about the professional development that's available, click on your state and your ETC's contact information is there. And they are really tapped into the opportunities and resources that are available, so they can get you on the right track if you're interested in learning more. Maybe if we go back to that TI Math site, and I know that the next activity is super tall skyscrapers, and I just wanted to show everyone where that's located. So it's an Algebra 1 activity, and it's really one of my favorite TI Math activities. I mean, I think it's super engaging, and you'll see why. But it's for TI-Nspire. And it's going to appear somewhere here in this table, but we don't need to go through the entire table to find it. Oh, there it is, page 3.
And let's see, I already have it opened. I was looking at a couple of the other questions for moving on to this. They asked, did you create a timer application? I'm looking at the activity Toying with a Walk. I'm not sure about the rest of that. There is a timer application that I'll show you on the Google Group website here shortly. But I wasn't the author. I posted it there. I'm not sure about the Toying with a Walk and responding to the your answer to x equals 2 is flattering, but what will you do if we have to plot x is equal to 2 to the 1.5 or pi? And that's a great question, which is really actually pretty easy for me to answer. So here I have it as 7. There's a lot of, it's a fairly busy page. I can delete several of these just by clicking on and deleting several of them. And so to answer the question of how do I'm just clicking on it and pressing the nice little button called delete or backspace. Actually, I was using backspace. So this point right here, under coordinate and equation, I can find what that point is, and I could, well, type in pi, and it goes to that. Since I'm using the numeric TI-Nspire, it doesn't say pi. If I was using the CAS, which I typically do, then it would just say pi. Again, I could click over here and say pi, and then it went to there. Or like you requested, I said 2 to the 1.5. So sure, it'll go to that as well, or the square root of 2. So I hope that answered that question. All right, so let's see how images are used in the skyscrapers, super tall skyscrapers. It's about proportions and scale drawing. This ties quite nicely in with the topic for tonight. So here you see the Sears Tower, and if you're like, hey, it's not called Sears Tower anymore, that is correct. In fact, the document says it's now called Willis Tower, although people in Chicago probably still commonly refer to it as the Sears Tower. And so what can you do with this? You can drag this point, and the nice instructions that come with this document, did we click on and show it? The super tall skyscrapers. If we click on this activity here, we see that all TI math activities come with a student activity doc, a Word document that teachers can change and modify to their heart's desire, or as a PDF in case maybe the fonts or something weren't appearing quite right, then they certainly would appear correctly as a PDF. Or if you don't have the Word document, Word software. You also get an Nspire file, and then what teachers will be excited about is the teacher notes with solutions and expectations and where this fits in with things. And this is showing quite nicely what it is you can do, this little animation right here, what things you do with it. And then here's something which I forget the location of this one, but if I read the teacher notes, I think it's in like China or Taiwan. And so there's that. And actually, I'd like to do something similar to this with the map activity here coming up. In fact, I think I'll do that right now. So if I were to do like a map, if I go to Google Maps, and for example, and which I think it's going, there it is, and maybe we zoom in a bit more to my region and location, and let's make it. There's a couple of pieces of software that I can use to snip it to grab an image. I've got a snipping tool that Windows 7 has. So here's this snipping tool example, and I can select a certain region on this. Notice that I'm getting the scale down there, and so there's this image. Since I use a smartboard in my classroom, I also have this area capture tool. Would be another option, or there's a variety of other free software out there to snip or to area capture. So it's on the clipboard. And I can do this example in this document. See, it's already done. Will be available for you, as well as with some instructions of how to do that. So let's do it fresh. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do a geometry application, and I'm going to paste. I'm going to press Control V, and there it is. Isn't that neat? I just pasted. I didn't have to I didn't have to save the image and so forth. I just put it on the clipboard and pasted it from the clipboard. Now I would like to change the size of this so that maybe scoot it over a little bit or something like that. So changing the size of it. And the next step is to menu, go down to points and lines, points and lines, and let's make a segment. Let's make a segment that corresponds with this scale. So here's the 200 miles, and in fact, I believe if I had typed right, nope. So I can change the color of this segment. I could make it nice and orange, for example. And I could also change the attributes, again, make it thicker. I think I'll label this label. I'll label it 200 miles. So that's just a little label for it. And so it corresponds with that. Now, you could adjust it and change the size of it later on. Need to do one more segment with a menu, points and lines. And there's segment. So I live in Indianapolis, and coming up at the end of this month, next week I'm going to do a little drive up to Chicago for the T-Cubed International Conference. And so there's that. And I will press escape so that I am no longer on this this little tool called segment. So press escape. If I click my segment, I can change the color of it. So there's that. Next thing I want to do is I want to find out how long this is. So this says 1 centimeter that long. I'm going to go to Menu and Measurement. So I can measure the length of it. I've got my little measurement tool, and I could click on this one, and it says it's about 6.03 centimeters. And as soon as I hover over it, it says what it is. If I click it once and then click it again, it will drop that 7.85 centimeters. Escape. Next up, I'm going to insert some text. My favorite way to insert text is to right-click. I bet you didn't see that one coming. Right-click. Yes, you can find this under Menu Actions. So I'm going to put some text in here called, well, let's just do some static text first. So 200 miles is to 7.85 centimeters is equal to unknown x is to 6.03 centimeters. So that's just some static text to show you what's about to happen. Now I'm going to do some dynamic. I'm going to do some text that will become dynamic. Let's just use variables. Let's say 200 is to the scale as x is to distance. False. Let's solve this for x. So if I solve this for x, it would be multiply both sides by the distance. There you go. Now, I'm going to right-click, and I'm going to calculate that. And it's going to ask me, well, what is the distance? This is my distance over here. And then it says select scale. This was corresponded to the scale. And it tells me that it's going to take me 154 miles to get to my distance. What's neat is I could move this around and maybe make some fine-tune adjusting to it. Oh, good, it's only going to be 156 miles now. Or maybe I live on this side of Indianapolis over there. And as the bird flies, then that's what it is. Of course, those being static aren't updated. So
I'm sorry, Sean, I got to ask. I was born in Fort Wayne and am very curious.
So I can move this up to Fort Wayne, and they've only got 133, but I think they'll have to take the toll road to get there.
Fantastic. Thanks.
Sure. All right. Somebody said they lost volume. Did you want to go over how to get volume back, although they wouldn't be able to hear you?
Sure. If you lose audio, and fortunately that we haven't had too many people losing audio tonight, but if you do lose audio, go up to the toolbar at the top of your screen, and all the way to the right, there's the eject button, and if you click that, then there's an audio option and then an audio broadcast option, and from there you can click the play button. I think one of the new updates to the WebEx software, though, is that when people lose audio, I think that the window automatically reappears for people. So Hopefully in the next 10 minutes or so that won't be an issue. But thanks, Sean.
Sure. So here in our little overview, there's a published view document that gives an overview of what was happening, along with links to the trains in motion and a couple of other links. One of the last things, so it looks like we covered most of what we wanted to talk about. One of the last things I wanted to give you a little tour of is the TI-Nspire Google Group website. And one of the nice things, if you go to useful links, it has links to the Atomic Learning. Here's a link to my blog, which I think I had a nice thing opened up if I can find it. Well, I'll just click on it and show it to you there. So here is my blog. If you type in image or images, then up pops inserting images on the Nspire. And here you can learn some other details about what kind of files, JPEG, bumps, and PNGs, and then the clipboard, and some more details like that, as well as pretty much everything else you saw. Also under useful links is my website, my school website, John Hanna's website. Mark has some great tips, and Neville and Nelson. Also, hey, look, there's a link to some TI free webinars and TI's YouTube, as well as my YouTube channel that has some nice tips that I was putting together. If you want to go to click here to read about the group, this is a great shortcut to how to join the Google group. And if you're using the navigator, you'd probably be interested in joining this one. Some people have it set up that they get a daily email rather than whenever they appear. And we'd really like to show you the TNS files. There are a number of files that various people have shared, including, here's several from Michael Houston and Travis has some, and Ray Fox. And Lana has a couple for algebra, and there's some nice calculus files, and so a couple of something for geometry, zipped folder for linear programming, some nice things for science and statistics. One other one you really got to see is the TI-Nspire script application files. These files are really exciting and dynamic. And somebody was asking about a timer, also known as stopwatch. Ought to be on here. There it is. There's one of the places you can find the stopwatch. So I did cite that the script was authored by TI, and it's been a real joy to use in my math and science classroom, and I think a number of other teachers have enjoyed this as well. If you have lower level students and you want them to have practice with their times table, then here's something really neat that Andy Kemp from the UK put together for testing the times table. I like this unit conversion, helpful for people who do not have the CAS, or just a really neat little file for converting units. The periodic table is a really nice document that is also available on the Science-Inspired. And some special files just for Navigator or some assessment. Teachers were saying, hey, we need something where we can just share some quick poll things or some quizzes. And so not too long ago, January and December, we started a little sharing, and some people have shared a couple of things, some quick polls that they've used. And so there's that. I think that's all of the website stuff I wanted to show. Maybe I will let you see. It's hiding under this. Hold on one second. No? All right. I'm going to go back to the useful links and click on my YouTube so you can just see some of the things that are available. I like clicking videos so you can see all the videos, starting my class with Navigator, press to test tips, and so forth. There's a Batman equation on there. My students were like, oh, that's really neat. As well as 3D hearts and how to do some implicit using the 3D